Hey there kids, welcome to another math video. This is for Eureka Math, grade 5, module 4, lesson 29 homework. And we are cruising through module 4, getting close to the end. Hopefully you're getting ready to take a big ol' assessment on module 4 and all these really important concepts. This one for today, the objective at the bottom is to connect division by a unit fraction, which we've done in the previous couple of lessons, to division by 1/10 and 1/100th, and that's going to be in decimal form. So it's kind of like the old school way of how do I get rid of that decimal in the divisor, setting that up in future lessons for long division and keeping the ratio the same. Sorry, I will get into all that later. I don't want to get too off track. But today's lesson is really just understanding that, yes, you can rename something. So we're going to divide. We're going to rewrite each expression as a division sentence with a fraction divisor and fill in the blanks. The first one is done for you. So just kind of pointing things out here. It's a decimal, same dividend, not changing and not changing the location. Do change your decimal to a fraction, and then all of a sudden we have what we've been doing for a couple of days. Okay, I will always encourage you to do the keep it, change it, flip it. So we're multiplying by the reciprocal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch my other problem set videos. I explain everything in those videos. And so then your homework should be the part 2 of any lesson. All right, so blah, 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 gonna fill this in. Hopefully you know what this means, and I'll keep explaining as we go. Starting out with A, 9 divided by 1/10. So, have to rewrite. Take your whole number, which is the 9, your dividend, and we're gonna rewrite the 1/10 as a fraction 1/10. Now 9 is a whole number, so I'm putting it over 1. We're gonna keep that, change the sign, multiply by the reciprocal, and know what the answer is. It's 90. That's where I'm going with this operation, okay? This is what I'm gonna do every single time. So back to the Common Core way, there are how many tenths in one whole? Remember place value positions. They're saying if you have 1, then how many tenths is that? Well, there aren't any tenths there, but you still have to name that. So it's 10 tenths in one whole. So if I have 9 wholes, how many tenths is that? So you're just calling this by a different name. It's like you have a different label on it. So we're looking at the place value position, knowing this is tenths, and saying, well, if it's got to be in this place value position right here with a 0, then I have 90 tenths. That's what this is all about. Just kind of super weird. Honestly, like, I don't know who made this stuff up, but very strange. Okay, 6 is our whole number. We're going to divide by 1/10. Take the time to rewrite it. That's what you're supposed to do today. Rewrite each expression as a division sentence with a fraction divisor. So you have to take the time to do it. Why? Because when you rewrite by keep it, change it, flip it, you want to keep track of what your divisor was supposed to be. It was supposed to be 1/10. Now it's the reciprocal, giving us 60 for our answer. How many tenths are in one whole? Look, it's the same question that we just had. There are 10 tenths in one whole. So how many tenths are in 6 wholes? There are 60. So my students loved this lesson, and hopefully all my subscribers will love it too. It's actually not too bad. When you have a decimal value for your dividend, you're going to change it into a fraction, put it over the proper tenths, hundredths, thousandths, whatever it is, but they're keeping it simple. 36 tenths divided by 1/10. Keep it. Do not change that. Change the sign and flip that second fraction. Notice when you have an opportunity to cross cancel or simplify, please do it. It will make your life so much easier. 10 tenths, if I was to use the commutative property, remember when we did that a few lessons ago? You can do that and change 10 tenths to 1, and then that leaves you with 36 over 1, which is 36. I'm taking steps out now because we just don't need to keep doing them. So how many tenths are in 3 wholes? That's like looking at 3 like this. So you have 30. There are how many tenths in 6 tenths? This is one of those ones we were laughing at. We're like, what kind of question is that? Well, there are 6 tenths in 6 tenths. There's no question there. That's why it's confusing for a lot of kids. So how many tenths are in 36 tenths? 36 tenths in 36 tenths. So 3 and 6 tenths is how most kids might look at that, or say 3.6. But if you start reading it correctly, you'll know that it can be renamed. Now, what about this little thing? That's actually just a period, and it looks exactly the same as the decimal. So that throws people off too. Just ignore that. Don't need it. It's about 36 tenths. All right, this next one, 128 tenths divided by 1/10. And if I didn't mention this already, you should have already done all this work. Yes, you should have. You shouldn't be copying. That's cheating. Try it on your own. You're just cheating yourself. 128 tenth, keep it, change the sign, flip the second fraction, do cross canceling, and you end up with 128. That's your answer. That's where we're going. Separate it all out. How many tenths in 12 wholes? So again, if you want to know, put it in decimal form. That's what it looks like. So there would be 120. There are how many tenths in 8 tenths? Oh dear. And so how many tenths are in this number here? This is not a decimal, it's a period. 128. So once you start doing a couple of these, it's like, oh, that's really not that bad. It's kind of fun and exciting. So here we're back to a single digit whole number, but they're changing your divisor size. That's okay. 3/1 divided by what? 1/100th this time. Keep this, change the sign, flip that second fraction to be the reciprocal, multiply across the top. The bottom would be 1. I would do my division. I would get 300 anyway. Now, we're looking at this as how many hundredths in 1 whole? How many hundredths in 1? 100, because I would fill these 2 in with zeros. Remember, it's all about understanding where the place value positions are. This is the hundredths place, so there would be 100 hundredths in 1. Okay? How about how many hundredths in 3? So we're looking at this. We're writing it like this. They're asking you to get to this place value position, 300. Not too bad. You've got this. Okay, next one, 7/1, because it's a whole number, divided by, what's our decimal fraction? 1/100th. Turn it into a fraction. Keep it, change it, flip it, solve it, and you get 700. And now for our uniforms, there are how many hundredths in 1 whole? Well, you just did that, so look for these types of patterns. They do like to repeat themselves. There are how many hundredths in 7 wholes, just like you did over here? 700. At the bottom, now we have some fun numbers, just like we did here, but with our bigger or smaller, more digits, but smaller value divisor. So 47 tenths divided by 1/100th. Keep it, change it, flip it, simplify it. Okay, I would not want you to multiply and get 4,700 divided by 10. You could if you wanted to, but why? So I'm going to divide both of these by 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1. 100 divided by 10 is 10. Now I'm going to have something over just 1. So my final answer I can put here, 47 times 10, 470. Now, looking at this with our place value positions, how many hundredths in 4 wholes? Okay, 400 hundredths. How many hundredths in 7 tenths? Now, this one is not the repeating the 6 tenths in 6 tenths. It's how many hundredths in 7 tenths. So if I have 7 in the tenths place, but they're asking me to get to here, then there are 70 hundredths in 7/10. Now, how many hundredths in this? And again, it's 4.7 or 47 tenths, but we've not gotten to the hundredths place. Okay, so you would have a 0. Let me rewrite it over here so that doesn't confuse you. How many hundredths are there? Well, you have to put a 0 there to hold it. So 470, basically you're just adding these two because they're saying, hey, take it apart. Okay, now put it together. Okay, so 470 for your final one there. And the last one on the front, 113 tenths divided by 1/100th. Keep, 113. Change the sign, flip that second one, simplify 1 and 10, and then make this 10 times greater. 1, 1, 3, 0. Hopefully you can see that, and it doesn't look like a 5 because it's a 3. Okay, so how many hundredths in 11 holes? There would be 1100. So get it out to the place value position right there where it needs to be hundredths. How many hundredths in 3/10? Write that. How many hundredths? 30. And how many hundredths in, this is not a decimal, it's right here, 11 and, we only have 3/10, but we want hundredths, 1, 1, 3, 0. Put those two together. All right, that's the end of the first page. Still more on the back, but this part is actually kind of nice because there are no more of those long-winded instructions to divide, multiply to check, and use a specific way. So we're going to use the old way, which is after we create our fraction, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal because it's so much easier. So write out your expression. Make a fraction out of your divisor, rewrite it, keep, change, flip, solve. Done. So easy. 23 is a whole number. Divide by the divisor, which is 1/10. Take the time to write it. Keep it, change it, flip it, solve. Next one, 5/1 divided by what? Watch out, it's different. 1/100th. Keep this, change the sign, flip the second one, and solve. Circle your answer so that if you didn't already, so that your teacher, when they're checking it, or classmates will be able to see it, or you when you're checking your own work. Watch out for decimal dividends. Divided by 1/10. Keep it, change it, flip it, cross cancel. Done. This is a whole number. Needs to go over 1. Divided by 1/100th. Keep it, change the sign, flip the second fraction, which is the divisor, multiply across the top, 5,100 or 5,100. Whole number over 1 divided by 1/10. Know your place value positions. Keep it, change it, flip it, solve. 31 times 1 plus a 0, 310. 231 as a whole number divided by 1/10. Keep, change, flip, multiply. Done. Circle your answer. Make a fraction. 437, this is in the hundredths place, divided by 1/100th. Don't be alarmed because they're big numbers, or lots of digits, I should say. Multiply by the reciprocal. You wipe out the 100s because 100 hundredths equals 1, and you get 437. as your final answer. And we're on the last one already. See how fast that is? 245 tenths divided by 1/100th. Keep it. Change the sign. Flip the second fraction. Simplify. 10 divided by 10 is 1. 100 divided by 10 is 10. 245 times 10 is 2,450. And you're done. And so that is your lots of practice opportunity. Now we're on to the word problems. Giovanna is charged 1 cent for each text message she sends. Now you can read that as 1/100th, but in American money you would say 1 cent because that's 1 penny. Last month her cell phone bill included a $12.60 charge for text messages for all of them. How many text messages did Giovanna send? So we're going to take what? We're going to take our whole, which is the total amount that she was charged, and divide it by the each charge, the cost for each. So it's money divided by money will give us the number of text messages, and that's what we're searching for. So take these, and since our practice is to turn them into fractions, really soon we're going to be just dividing with decimals. It's very fun, but we're going to turn these into fractions. So you can make this, if you did 126 tenths, that's fine, or you can do 1,260 hundredths, that's fine. If you want to keep it the way it looks and have 2 place value positions, let's do that one. Change this into 1/100th. Keep it. Change it. Flip it. Cross cancel. And now we have the number of text messages. Sent. Okay. There you go. So put that, make sure that's a comma and not a decimal point there. Okay, now Geraldine solved a problem, 68 5/10 divided by 1/100th, and got 6,850. Ralph said, this is wrong because a quotient, the answer to a division problem, can't be greater than the whole you started with. For example, 8 divided by 2 is 4 because we're taking 8 apart. 250 divided by 5 is 50. We're taking 250 apart. Who is correct? Explain your thinking. So what we just did, especially right up here, we did 9 problems where we had a dividend that was a whole number, and we divided it by a decimal fraction in every case, and we ended up with numbers that were larger than what we started with. So what's the deal? Well, Ralph, you can divide by a fractional divisor and get more pieces. So Geraldine is right. Write that down. If you didn't already, you want to say who is correct. Geraldine is correct. If a divisor is a fraction or decimal fraction, oops, decimal, you can have a large, very large sometimes, quotient. Okay, and so it's really just like using all of these problems above as an example. You can take whole numbers apart into teeny tiny fractional pieces and you have a whole bunch of them. So that's your explanation. It's watch out for that divisor that's a fractional unit. Okay, now the last one here. Oh, don't forget, click subscribe, come back again. Be cool, man, be cool. Number 5, the price for an ounce of gold on September 23rd, 2013, ooh, that's a long time ago, was $1,326.40. A group of 10 friends decide to equally share the cost of 1 ounce of gold. How much money will each friend pay? All right, so we have this. That is the ounce of gold price. Okay, they're going to share the ounce of gold. So this is the total amount that's being shared. So that comes first. And it's being shared by 10 friends. So if you want to set this up, yes, it's a big number, but that's life. It's going to be big. So here is our decimal fraction with hundredths. So take these digits, 1, 3, 2, 6, 4, 0, or you could leave that off and reduce that, but we're going to just put what's here over 100. And we're going to divide by our divisor, which is 10. So that means it's a whole number, okay, over 1. But you can still use the same strategy. Keep change, flip. Now look at what you can do when, if you can't do cross-canceling here, can you do it here? And so take every opportunity to make things simpler. Yes, you can. I'm going to take this, and because they both have a 0 on the end, we're just going to divide both of them by 10. This becomes 1, and this one becomes the same thing, but we take off the 0 on the end. As you multiply, 2, 6, 4 over 100. And then we have a whole number divided by 100, which means you shift it 2 places to the right, or if you want to talk about moving the decimal would be here, and it would shift 2 places to the left. So each friend would pay, and I have no room, each friend pays 132.64, which is $132.64. And that is your homework lesson for 29. And I hope this is helpful. And click subscribe again. Come back again. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.